Think about a world where the screen stopped at midnight, music lived inside plastic shells you rewound with a pencil, and the most powerful status symbol at school was a dented metal lunchbox. The 1970s weren't just a decade, they were a complete operating system for daily life. And if you didn't grow up in it, a lot of it just feels unreal. Today we're stepping straight into that universe. No nostalgia goggles. Just the details you can practically smell, hear, and feel in your hands. Some of it was magic. Some of it was messy. All of it made sense back then. The 3-channel universe. Before infinite scroll and autoplay, there were 3 channels. And if you were lucky, PBS. That was your whole galaxy. You didn't browse. You committed. You memorized schedules. You planned your week around cliffhangers. When your show was on, the world went quiet. Siblings silenced. Pizza slices balanced on paper plates, every eye on the screen. Changing the channel meant standing up, crossing the room, and clicking a chunky dial that clacked from 2 to 3 to 4 like a safe being cracked. Rabbit ears got bent and twisted, wrapped in tin foil, turned just so while someone yelled, hold it, right there." The TV didn't stream you, you hunted it. Late at night, the screen didn't recommend anything. It played the national anthem, flashed a test pattern, then the world went dark. That's when you turned the house lights off and went to bed, because the night had truly ended. Here's the secret people forget. Scarcity wasn't a punishment, it was glue. It made every broadcast feel like an event. Some still swear those limits made TV feel bigger and shares more intense, because when the signal finally arrived, it felt earned. But that wasn't the whole story. The soundtrack, radio, vinyl, and early cassettes music didn't live in the cloud. It lived in grooves and magnetic tape, and you learned to treat both with respect. The mixtape was a craft and a chase. You waited by the radio, fingers hovering over record, praying the DJ wouldn't talk over the intro. When he did, you groaned, kept it anyway, and called it charm. If the tape tangled, you grabbed a pencil, threaded the spokes, and rewound it back into shape like a surgeon. Vinyl was sacred. You placed the needle gently, cleaned the dust, flipped the record. Album art was a poster, a manifesto, a door into the band's world. Record pops felt like personality. And if you had a boombox, you carried your soundtrack with you. Speakers on your shoulder, batteries in your pocket, your crew in your wake. By the late 70s, the first personal players arrived. The Walkman didn't just change listening, it privatized it. Suddenly, your favorite song belonged to you alone, right now, anywhere. And in basements everywhere, one deck became 2 decks, and 2 decks meant copying. Home duplication of songs, radio, anything that mattered. Rumors swirled that labels quietly freaked out over all that tape-to-tape sharing, whispering about lost sales and recording codes to jam up copies. Maybe true, maybe myth, but it fueled the outlaw mystique. The soundtrack wasn't delivered, it was built, piece by piece. And just when kids thought that was the height of freedom, Saturday morning made a different kind of promise. Kid power, cartoons, cereal prizes, and underoos. Saturday morning wasn't a day, it was a festival. You woke up before your parents, poured a bowl that rattled like marbles, and went hunting. Because the cereal box wasn't just food, it was treasure. Prizes hid under flakes and loops, plastic rings, tiny games, weird little figurines that ended up in every junk drawer on Earth. Kids didn't beg for brands because of taste, they begged for the prize. Shows rolled for hours, bright, loud, wildly inventive. Those blocks of cartoons became rituals, as sacred as any holiday, and advertisers knew it. Reports claim parents, teachers, and watchdogs pushed back on how hard those ads targeted kids, especially when show characters leapt straight into toy aisles. Did that stop anyone from plotting a box swap in the grocery store? Not really. And then there were underoos. Not pajamas, not costumes, something in between. Slip into a hero's colors, lightning bolt, bat symbol, invisible lasso. And suddenly, the living room was a city in danger. Kids tore through hallways in underwear that wasn't just underwear. It was an alter ego. Nothing about it was subtle. And that was exactly the point. Childhood felt like a club with rules only kids understood. But the membership didn't end at the couch. It followed you into the world. In places where strangers talked like friends. IRL social networks, record stores, arcades, photo booths. The original algorithm was a clerk behind a counter. You slid a record across, and they said, If you like this, you need to hear that. Their word could shift your taste for a year. Listening booths let you test albums before buying. Local zines sat by the register. Scene gossip, gig flyers, the next band about to explode. Some still say those clerks held real power, tipping whole neighborhoods into new sounds. Right down the mall, arcades lit up like spaceships. Rings of quarters on machines calling, "I'm next." Beat a boss, and the whole row cheered. Meet a rival, and you had a friend for life, or at least for the summer. And at the edge of every hangout spot sat a photo booth. 4 flashes, no do-overs, grainy strips that went into wallets, lockers, frames on nightstands. Couples, best friends, roller rink crews. The pictures weren't perfect. They were proof. These places stitched communities together without a single notification. You didn't post, you showed up.